Hi guys, it's Emil and this week's topic is early childhood experiences. That's what it is. I made a video on my personal channel a while back called Trans Signs as a Kid, and I think it is perfect for this topic. So I urge you to go watch that. I am putting a link in the description below. So in this video, I am going to talk about basically the same thing that Triton talked about, that you don't have to have showed a certain set of signs during your childhood to be trans, because sometimes people are like, I don't think I can be trans because I didn't show any signs as a kid, or my mom tells me she doesn't understand how I can be trans when I was such a feminine girl but I'm a guy. It just bothers me because, first of all, there are a number of reasons why you would, for example, as a trans guy, have liked feminine things as a girl if you did that. Now obviously, if you're trans and you look back on your childhood and you think, oh, that makes sense and that makes sense and that makes sense because I'm trans, obviously that is valid. But you don't have to have had a certain trans narrative in order to be able to be trans. For example, say a little trans guy was assigned female at birth, everyone thinks he's a girl, he thinks he's a girl, he doesn't know anything, and then he plays with Barbies and pink things and dresses and all that kind of stuff. And the world validates him and tells him that is what he should like. Now obviously that is going to be something that he is drawn towards because that is something that gives him a positive experience. And also it could be because he just likes things like that, and then your interests change as you grow up and you don't like those things anymore. Perhaps because you realize what kind of gender roles are thrown at that kind of stuff, or just because your interests changed, because your interests naturally can change. And also it's kind of funny because if you have a little cis boy who always liked playing with pink things and dresses and like wearing skirts and Barbies and not wearing Barbies, playing with Barbies, no one's gonna tell him he's a trans girl. At most they're gonna tell him he's gay. Maybe he grows up and it turns out he's straight and they're like, oh, you just had a face when you were a kid. So in that sense, people realize that it's just a thing that kids can do, and then you can grow up to be whatever because you change as you grow, because the concept of growth is to change. And obviously there are feminine guys and there are masculine girls, and being non-binary doesn't mean you have to be straight androgynous just all through. I think this is heavily influenced by a lot of the trans stories that are told and spoken about in the media, because it's always, you know, oh, this child was always like that and we just thought they were a masculine girl and we just thought they were a lesbian, but then it turned out, or something like that. It's always the classic trans narrative. And of course some people do have that narrative and that is 100% okay, but everyone doesn't, and everyone doesn't always know that they're trans. For some people it hits them, and for some people they have hints, and for some people they think they're gay and they turn out to be a straight trans person. There's just so many trans narratives, and I don't think you should look only at your background for validation. You should concern yourself with how you are feeling right now. Don't concern yourself with other people's stories or about what is normal or common, because even if your experience is uncommon, even if it is one of a kind, which it probably isn't because there are so many people out there, so many trans people, so many different stories, but even if your story was one of a kind, that wouldn't invalidate it if you still are trans. The only way you can really know who you are inside is to go by how you're feeling now. Of course you can look to the past for clues, and you can look to all of that for possible validation that you might find there, and for possible explanations and for things that make sense now that you look back, but don't just look to other people's narratives and to what other people are saying about their past and their stories to see if you fit in, because labels aren't made to put you inside a box. Labels are made to put words to your experience, your current experience and your current state of being. That's what labels are for. They are for you to say, this is who I am, and for people to then, through that label, be able to get a basic concept of a part of your personality or your life. So that is my little rant about trans narratives. I just think it's a really important thing to talk about, and I hope you took something from this. I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.